All right, and we're back. Welcome to the afternoon part of the 2026 AGIA Educate Summit. Hey Vance, thank you so much for joining us. Well, Unity remains one of the most important engines for independent developers. And today, Vanz Kim from the Korean office will share some of the key trends shaping game development in 2026 based on their annual report. Vance, thank you so much for joining us, and over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for introducing me, Jens. I will first share my screen here. Okay, is it available to see my slide here?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you for inviting me in this event and conference to give me some opportunity to speak about the Unity Gaming Report. My subject today is what the Unity Gaming Report means for the next generation of studios. All right. First, I want to introduce quickly about myself. I work for Unity Technologies. I'm located at the Seoul, South Korea. I have been working for the film and animation industry for 15 years and 15 more years to work with game making studios like NCSoft and Blue Side, blah blah blah. So, okay, I am a leader for the advocacy team for Korea and Japan. So, in this session, I will walk you through 4 major shifts from Unity's gaming development report that will have a substantial impact on the game making business. Okay, first, this report is based on a survey of 300 developers, data from about 5 million Unity users, and interviews with over 20 studios. Across the industry, the core question has shifted from how to survive to how to build something sustainable. 4 parts of that shift: building smaller, iterating faster, using AI very carefully, and thinking globally from the start. Let me start with this number. According to IGEA's own research, 93 to 95% of the revenue Australia-made games earn from overseas. Australia's domestic market is kind of small. Given the population and geography, exporting games has been necessary from the start, not really a choice. Unity's 2025 report has some advice for studios everywhere. Build smaller, iterate faster, and using AI respectively and carefully, and thinking globally from the day one. I think that last part is already familiar territory here. Okay, first theme is a smaller scope. According to our research, the majority of studios are shifting focus to smaller games. Actually, 72% of developers say the process of making games is getting leaner. Over half are focusing on smaller, more manageable projects. And among studios with 10 to 49 people, 64% say they shifted in response to market condition. Market condition, I will cover this subject later in this presentation, and market condition is not so good these days, right? So casual game is a dominant theme at 73%, which reflects growing demand for lower commitment, easier to pick up experiences. Studios are keeping prototypes short, which gives them room to test more ideas before deciding where to commit. 67% finish a prototype within just 3 months, and close to half say they have become more selective about which prototype actually get greenlight into full production. A few 2025 releases show that what it looks like in practice. Schedule 1, Peak, Repo, and Megabonk were each built in a matter of weeks and went on to become commercial hits. Schedule 1 was made by TVGS, a Sydney-based studio. The developer behind Peak put it this way: smaller teams can now do a lot more than they used to. There's another Australian connection in this report. One of the quotes on revenue diversification comes from Massive Monster, a studio based in Melbourne, the team behind Cult of Lamb, which sold 1 million copies in the first week. Okay, smaller project, but effectively test the prototype and figure out is it really fun game, or is it really feasible or something like that. And then next theme is how to iterate at suitable speed, faster speed. This is a kind of an interesting graph. This graph comes from Unity editor usage data, not a survey. It measures time actually logged in the editor per project, not the calendar time from time to launch, start to launch. On that basis, median development time dropped from 91 hours in January 2022 to 21 hours in December 2025. It's a 77% drop. The top 25% of longest project also dropped from 344 hours to 127 hours. And even the largest project, with over 1 million monthly active users, dropped 81% of editor usage hour. I think this is not a shift toward the smaller games. It's just an actual work of making game taking less time across the industry. So we build the games more faster than ever. Speed here doesn't mean building fast. It means being able to iterate. The co-founder of Square Glade Games put it this way. He says, "Nothing is fixed. We deliberately designed our process to respond flexibility to feedback and market shift." Q Games, they made Dreams of Anchor. The game is quite impressive for me. It is you can see this as a screenshot here, and they used some volumetric rendering method to express their visual style. Okay, and Q Games turned this into an actual system, the internal system. They call it silo. It's like this: 2 or 3 people work independently for 2 weeks. Then the whole team review it and builds on it together. I think they can find the rigid or the feasible part of their work. The core skill now isn't pushing through one long fixed plan. It's rather than running short cycles, testing constantly, and being willing to change direction. according to market condition. And this brings us to most talked about topic recently, the use of AI. AI is it's a very sensitive matter, I think. A recent GDC survey found that 52% of Western game industry professionals say generative AI is bad for the industry, up from just 18% 2 years ago. The pushback is strongest among artists, designers, and programmers. A separate survey of Japanese studios found that 51% are already using generative AI, reported as a plain adoption number rather than a sentiment. Another global survey found 90% of already have AI built into their workflow. Adoption rates are not that different across the region. It doesn't matter is east or east west. The very similar rates. The intensity, but the intensity of debates over AI is a little bit different, I think. It's much higher in the West and in the East, like Japan and Korea, the debate around the AI adoption is less than West. I can feel that. Practically, looking at where AI is actually used, coding and debugging is at 76%. You can see it at this graph, followed by production and project management at 74%, QA and testing at 68%, and content creation at 63%. All four are above 60%. So it's not concentrated in one or two areas. It's used across the development process. When asked what benefits AI brings, they say improved efficiency was the top answer at 73%, followed by enhanced decision making at 62%. Resource saving and fewer human errors and higher productivity, more team expertise. The list goes on just like that. But I like this part, the automated repetitive tasks. I think that the machine can do a lot better than human in these areas, automated repetitive tasks. And also in result, time saving is also major areas of a reason behind the AI utilization. And but it's not all good news about AI utilization. Let me walk through one example. I won't name the studio, but this isn't about just one company or one studio. It's something that could happen to any studio in game development area. A subculture game here faced accusations of AI use during closed beta. After players spotted the quality issue in the character art, odd finger shapes, inconsistent design, the studio issued an apology and explained that AI was used at the concept stage, not the final production. But people were, very disappointed, and they were expressed some anger to the studios. So they canceled their major event, and they kept apologizing to users. But the users' sentiment to this studio were already dropped down. So I think There is another market data that backs this up. Games that disclose AI used on Steam get up to 55 fewer reviews than games that don't use AI. But for games that were already low quality, the level makes no real difference. You know, that AI is, I think AI is not bad or good, but the game itself using AI, if it's very low, it has a very low quality. Obviously, they couldn't get enough reviews than the high quality games, whether it's using AI or not. Anyway, I think if we use AI during game development process, we should ensure that the quality is good, and human should direct all the AI made assets or the code to make it enough, make it enough quality for our users. And if we use AI, then we should disclose it in very, you know, fine manner or the very strict, clear style communication. Okay, enough of AI. And the last theme that I want to talk about today is global markets as a default. Okay, you can see a lot of numbers here. But these numbers are showing the challenges mobile game developers reporting that competition and user acquisition is getting harder, and discoverability is getting more harder. Biggest barrier to entering a new market is also not just a budget problem. When you go to global market and is going abroad, and if it's your target nation country is new to your studio, then the budget is a basic requirement, but the more difficult part is cultural aspect, which maybe I can say cultural norms. You need to prepare a lot of elements in your games to export your games to foreign countries, especially when it comes to Asia areas. Like, the Western culture and Eastern culture is different, and also Asia's culture and is also very different from country to country, like China, Japan, Korea. Looks very similar, but different. So you need to understand that the cultural differences in those areas. And if you don't understand enough, then the budget and cost you put in your games for translations and localizations will not be very effective for local audiences. And also, the report's own data points to India and Brazil as the most attractive emerging markets. And the strongest actual results have come from Southeast Asia, Central and South Asia, and Latin America. A Sega Hardlight Studio executive put it this way. He says, "We've seen strongest growth momentum in Brazil and India, where we invested in optimizing our product around the local user behavior. Market size doesn't seem to be the deciding factor here. Understanding the local audience does." As I mentioned earlier, the vast majority of Australian game industry revenue already comes from overseas. If India and Brazil are the macro opportunity, this report points to directly, I want to use two markets I work with personally, Korea and Japan, to show what it actually takes to act on opportunities. Let's start with Korea. South Korea, I mean. It's the world's fourth largest game market, worth roughly $10 to $12 billion. Mobile is the biggest segment in here. It's like 56% of this market belongs to mobile game market, but PC gaming also holds an unusually large share because Korea's PC bang culture, internet cafe built around gaming. But actually, the number is quite decreasing recently. That's I'm mentioning this just for your reference, because more and more game users buying their own consoles or buying their own PCs for gaming in their home. Korean user expectation around esports, competition, and rankings are high, very high. The report found that 78% of studios have added a daily reward or leaderboards. It's like a default in Korean market. On the practical side, rating approval from GRAC, that means game rating and administration committee, is kind of a half government agency. They are requiring to operate locally and requiring the ratings, and then maybe you need some money to get some ratings if you are exporting games to the South Korea market. And also, interesting part is putting a build on Steam isn't really market entry point on its own. You need also local publisher partnership because, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just a simple translation. You need maybe you need some kind of character customization or some promotional materials to be customized to local market. Maybe you need something like that. So a local publisher company could help about all these kind of works. And next is about Japan. Japan looks a little bit different. It's roughly a $25 billion market, bigger than Korea. Mobile is around 60%, but unlike other countries, console remains very strong in Japan. The Switch 2 launch alone drove 140% year-over-year growth in the console markets in last year. The most common localization failure here is treating it purely as a text translation task. You also need art style, some pacing of a gameplay process, and genre conventions are shaped differently than in the West. So direct translation often gets the tone wrong. Business culture is also a little bit different here. Sorry. I think okay. Let me continue where I stopped here. Okay, I was talking about the business style in Japan, right? Okay, business culture is also relationship driven and long-term partnership. Positioning around the trust and consistency tends to work better than disruption pitch. its overall Japanese business atmosphere. And there is one more room opening up for smaller indie studios, like incubator programs led by companies like Marvelous Connect. Overseas indie developers with publishers such as Developer and TinyBuild, they can also connect with Marvelous and getting some help to export your games to Japan market. If India and Brazil are the macro opportunity, this report, this data, Korea and Japan are the kind of a different and a closer look at what it actually takes to act on it. You also need the local culture understanding for both India and Japan, Brazil too. Okay, I have talked about the smaller scope and fast iteration, careful using AI, and global markets. These four areas are not separated, I think. They connect. Like small, fast prototypes let you confirm a game is actually fun before you commit further to it. Using AI comes with a disclosure as a precondition and showing our users you are legit and you are very respecting your users. And a game built this way still is an approach that fits the culture of whatever country you are entering. These are all conditions Australia's game industry has already lived with for a long time. Australia's game industry runs on global market by default, and at least two of the examples in this report, Schedule 1 and Cult of Lamb, I really enjoy the Cult of Lamb personally. One more number before we close. 28% of developers expect large studios to face more competitive pressure from indies next year. So, recent market status shows us that big studios are not very stable anymore. And also, small studios are not just small anymore. You can see the small studios got some global big hit games like the examples I have mentioned. And also that trend is going on and on until today, I think. So the creativity and using these new technologies and adapt and getting feedbacks and react to our ever-changing customers is some kind of essential part for our future studios in Australia. Okay, that's all for my presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vance. That was perfect timing. We have about 2 minutes until the next talk. Actually, no, there is a little break of 5 minutes between that. So if anyone would like to ask a question, by all means, put it in the chat. But, I think there's a lot of things in there that the audience recognized when it came to small scope, the shrinking dev time, and some of the games that succeed or have succeeded lately. I think someone mentioned in the charts Mecha Chameleon. That's one of those examples. You look at some of the Friendslop games that certainly embody that. So, I think that really, really strongly resonated with the audience. So thank you so much. Thank you too for, talking about overseas markets, in particular the ones outside of the more traditional European markets, such as, Korea, India, and so on. I think that is very insightful and certainly something that would be interesting to explore a bit further for the Australian industry. Look, there's one question here in the chat. It's from Nathan. If you are looking to get into a market like Korea, what would be some good local publishing studios to look into? I guess,
Mhm.
and I think that's often when you talk about overseas markets to Australia, it's like, yeah, we get it. It's like it's big and it's
Yeah.
interesting, but how do we actually get in there?
Yeah. If you have some interest in it, the publisher came into my mind. His name is Stove. The stove, the hot stove. The stove is driven by Smilegate from the very seasoned game developer company in Korea, and they are connecting with the foreign game studios very frequently. So I think you can just drop an email to their official address, then you will get help. And if not, please contact me. I know some people in there.
Thank you very much. That is very generous, and I mean, Korea is such a fascinating case study in terms of the pure size of the industry, um, and the complementary strength it has to the Australian industry. So it's certainly worth looking into that. There's also, for those who don't know, a Sydney office of the Korean creative content agency, KOCA, which is essentially Austrade for the Korean creative industries, and they may be an interesting contact to talk to as well, because it is their job to promote the Korean creative industries overseas and have some good connections and are very well resourced.
Right.
There is another really interesting question here from Alex, who's asking if is there anything you commonly see devs struggle with in making their games small in scale?
Hmm. Commonly see devs struggling with in making their games small in scale. Hmm. Um, the Jens, would you please, you know, s- explain it in so that I can understand the context?
Yeah, sorry, and I didn't mean to turn my camera off.
No,
I was meant to turn my sound off. Look, I think the question is, I think a lot of developers probably overscope, or
Mhm.
they keep working, and there's this
Yes,
scope creep and so on. So, is
yes,
there any advice to just keep your project small and focused?
yes. So I am the game development instructor in the university too. So I see a lot of students. They want to make a MMORPG, open world MMORPG in a year. Solo development. Of course, it's possible, but I would suggest and advise them to find the most fun parts of your game is what it looks like. Like you can discover some covering system for your shooting game. This is the different part of a game than other games, other shooting games. Or you can develop the jumping mechanics from the platform games than other games. So I really want you to find and develop your own fun part of your games, and you can grow your very little tree there, and then you can spread it together with your partners and teams. But yeah, if you cannot, if you plan feature uh, first, not fun experience first, then there will be a greater chance that you will lose your way while developing games.
I think that's a great summary. Vance, thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Korea. We really appreciate it. Thank you for these insights. If you wanted to stay around for a little while, maybe people can ask you some questions in the chat if they didn't get an opportunity to ask them, because we will now have to move to the next talk. Vance, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to welcoming Jeremy from Playside in a minute.
All right. Thank
And
you.
also, it's not Jeremy for Playside, it's Jeremy for Playful. I'm very sorry.
Thank you for your time. See
Thank
you.
you so much.